Hey, Wrestling fans, this is Birdman Coca Beware, and you listen to the Card Subject to Change podcast. That's right, you don't want to miss it, and I guarantee you, you can't beat it with a stick, you can't whip it with a switch. Don't even try!
It's a lot of thought, Nick, and I want to run it by you.
Sure.
I think the surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, Mantar. Everything has a more real sports feel, and it gets you invested that much more.
The dude's teeth aren't probably as big either.
It gives it more of a big fight feel. It makes it feel more real. If that glass shatters, I won't be ashamed. There will be happy man tears streaming down my face. Just the goosebumps will be bumped out. I'll hold my arm out like The Rock so you can see my goosebumps. And I'll have happy man tears coming down my face if that glass shatters. Oh, my goodness.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Bull.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast. The podcast by the fan, for the fan. Of course, I'm your host, never wrong, Nick Bull. Joining me is my tag team partner. We are the co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Network, the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. As we are live and recording this, I want to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day, because it is Mother's Day Sunday as we're going here. But we've got a cool guest in the studio. Black and Brave graduate, mostly based out of Chicago, doing some wrestling there, but across the Midwest. We've got one Sean Logan, better known as Sabotage. Sean, how you doing this morning?
I'm living my best life. I just got off a main event tag team match last night, and I don't know why I got home at like 2 a.m. and woke up at around 6 a.m. So usually I'd be tired, but I am up. I'm ready to go. So I'm doing good. Doing good.
Now, will you hit a wall later this afternoon? Because if that was me, if I went to bed at 2 and woke up at 6, I would hit the wall about 3 p.m. this afternoon.
I think I will, because I usually try to maximize whenever I need, like, even today I would have maximized sleep, but I don't know why. I was just like, I was more excited because I was like, you know what? Like, Cody Rhodes just won the world title at Mania, and he was on the Today Show at 8 a.m., and he probably had to fly to New York from Philly, and I was like, if he could do it, like, you better do this. So I was like, this is like a little taste, so I appreciate it.
Damn it, if he can finish his story, I can continue mine, right?
Yes. For real.
We'll talk about your match last night. It sounds like you're coming off an emotional high. You're feeling the highs. Give us the details about your match last night.
Yeah. We got face. So at Iron Spirit Pro, me and Gunner Brave were the tag team champions. We go as the 815, and we've been. I think DB, because he's the ring announcer there, and you guys know him from Sit Down Marks. He said 16 months we've had those titles. So really just kind of been collecting dub after dub. And I mean, we faced Bang and Matthews. I think they're ranked 38 in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Tag Team list this year. So that was just awesome to get opportunity to wrestle with them. And I think we only had about 15 minutes, but we went 27, and we were feeling it. I mean, we were feeling it, and the crowd kept responding. So, I know, as a worker, you're like, sometimes, everyone wants to go home, but I don't know, there's pros and cons of it. And I mean, they were alive, they were with it, so like, why not keep giving them a show? So some unique spots in it too, like Gunner, he had this one spot where I'm in like a neutral corner, and he pulls out this because you know you got the tag ropes, right? So he pulls out this like 18-foot tag rope, ties it, and then comes gets me a tag, and they allowed it. And then I pretend the referee's like, nah, that ain't allowed. But that was a fun one. I did a spot with Davey Bang that was like, so I don't dance, whatever. Like not all of us dance, but and being a heel, I'm like, I ain't doing that. I'm more of a chicken kind of heel. And I had a little arm wringer in, and he starts dancing to get out of the hold, and then I they told me that Darren Corbin did the spot, but it was like a spot where I was like I don't dance at all, and then my leg like starts shaking, and then I like stop the leg, and then my other leg starts shaking, and then they both start going. So
Oh,
like, little dance spot there, I thought that was fun. But then we had Eddie like a Eddie spot where we had an all down where with the chairs, you hit, throw the one guy, take the bump, and we were all down from the Eddie spot, so we all like pretend to get hit like by one another with a steel chair. So then the referee gets up, and Pepperton's like, what the heck happened here? We're all like, why is everyone unconscious? So that was a fun one. And then yeah, just a lot of spots that were just I think it was a really cool match because being main event with those guys was just awesome. And um getting like this is awesome chant, you live for that, but like getting three in the same match, that's really cool. And maybe we did go a little long, but screw it. I'm sure I think the promoter was happy, so that's all that matters, right?
absolutely. So, Sean, we'll hear more about your in-ring work as we go through the interview, but I'm going to steal Nick's thunder and
Yeah.
ask the question that everybody gets asked on this show: why pro wrestling? What brought you in as a fan, and what was that crystallizing moment that made you decide I have to do this?
Why pro? Okay. So I'll try not to bore you with the story, but so I first got a glimpse of it when I was 7. Me, my dad, and my sister were flipping through the channels, and my sister dropped on SmackDown, and then I saw The Undertaker, and I was hooked since. And I fast forward about when I turned 12. I started training with a guy named Tony Rican in 12 by 12 wrestling ring. So like the rings you guys, any indie rings usually about 18 foot, WWE rings 20 by 20. But I had a 12 by 12 when I was 12 years old, and taking bumps that early, that probably wasn't pros and cons again. Like I might regret it one day. I do take care of my body pretty well. But taking bumps at 12, training for this, that's just that might cost me in the long run. But positive part of it is like I feel like I got such a head start, and I'm starting to get the fundamentals down of wrestling way quicker. A lot of people, they'll right out high school or right out college, um, they start training for pro wrestling, at 18 or at 22, 23. So thankfully I think it got me a head start. I definitely was like always top of every class I did for wrestling, like with Black and Brave. We had 12, I know we had 16, and then we ended with 3 at Harley Race. I also trained with Harley Race. I was one of his last classes before he passed away. But just like I think that gave me a head start, because like I knew, like when we're learning basics, I already knew the basics, so it got me a head start on all those classes. But not to ramble off, so but yeah, that's kind of how I got my foot in the door when I first saw Undertaker. Is the question also like why I love wrestling, like why specifically pro wrestling is like
What got you hooked? What makes you keep coming back? You obviously
Yeah.
love pro wrestling, right?
Yeah. So I think I look at it like this. It's a little different take, but so I think like I don't know. I think a lot of people in the world, they're kind of, not a whole lot of people are like entertainers, right? They're more like a lot of people are living the same lives, and they nothing wrong with it, but like, a lot of people work 9 to 5, and then on the weekends it's their time to go out, right? They want to get entertained because we all love entertainment. And I'm like, man, I want to be the entertainer, right? And so I then I look back and I say, what are like the greatest forms of entertainment? And I think sports, I think music, and I think movies, right? And I don't know, maybe you guys got another take on it, but this is just those are my three, right? And I'm like, okay, pro wrestling has all three of those, you know. Movies, we tell a story in that ring, and we got characters like any movie ever has. With music, you know, we're coming out in entrance music and we're performing in front of a live crowd, like a concert. And then with sports, we're competing like athletes. I mean, we are athletes, but we're competing, you know, for a prize or for a victory, like sports athletes are. So I'm like, you get all three of those entertainments in one. That's pro wrestling, you know, and that's why I think pro wrestling's the best form of entertainment. I think that's why I love it. Yeah, like that's why I love it. I think.
Sabotage, talk a little bit how you said you wouldn't recommend taking bumps or training at 12 years old, but how it got you ahead of the field. It got you ahead of the game a little bit. You knew what to expect when you went and trained at Black and Brave, when you went and trained with Harley Race. Talk about how having that head start really helped you out with those places.
Yeah, I think Tony Rican, he just had one of his last matches again at AAW. I wrestled there in Chicago, and but when I was 12, you know, he started training me, and I think it gave me a head start because like at Harley's, I got a little bit of training in Indiana before Harley's, but right out of high school, went straight to Harley's instead of college. Thankful for my parents for letting me do that. But so I just think it's like you start taking your basic, you know, flat back bump, and it's like, okay, I got this down. Not only, I mean, I don't have to do it 150 times either. You do a couple, and then coach is like, oh, okay, he's got it. Like, let's give the time to the next guy who still needs to work on it. I mean, does it suck, you know, kind of waiting and watching so everyone gets to the next thing? Yeah, it does. But when I got time to that next thing, I didn't really have to think about what I already knew. You know, I go straight to like chain wrestling, and then you know doing some spots and just really trying to get the structure of a wrestling match down and like really worrying about that. More the meat and potatoes of wrestling versus just your basic fundamentals, you know. That was something at Harley's, you know, but it was only like 3, 4 of, well, I think it was like 7 of us. So from my class at Harley's, but we did kind of wait until everyone got it down to move on as a group. Versus Black and Brave, that was kind of a cool thing. They had open ring time. So let's say like you learn hip tosses, okay, for you know class. Um, we'll work on hip tosses for like 3 hours, but um if you didn't like get it as a group, like the next day we're not working on hip tosses, like we're moving on to the next subject. But Black and Brave gives you, let's say you train on a Tuesday and our training was 6 to 9, and then next morning you got open ring starts at noon. You could work on the hip tosses till 6 p.m. for practice the next day and get it down. Uh, but once class starts, we're on to the next subject, you know? So I did like how we kept moving forward with that training. Both different approaches of training too. Like Harley's is very old school, of course, especially with, you know, the conditioning and weight training.
I think you're muted, Sean. Oh.
Uh-oh, I think he is.
I think you may have muted your mic if you can hear me. Let me send him a. Let me hit him up with a message. I wonder.
You are watching Cards Subject to Change. Here, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. We have Sabotage Sean Logan here joining us, and he may have accidentally muted his mic.
I don't know if you can hear us, but we are not able to hear you. All right, tell you what, Sean, if you can hear me, hop out of the studio, hop back in. We'll go ahead, take our quick break, and be back with you. But hop out and hop back into the studio for me if you can hear me, okay? All right, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. Hopefully we get him back here on the other side.
Stay with us.
Football season may be over, but for frequency's sake, still has you covered for all your sporting needs. Tune in every Sunday when the best professional wrestling podcast around, Cards Subject to Change, gets you caught up on everything inside the ropes. They won't miss a count with weekly analysis and interviews. More into auto racing? We've got a double dose for you on the track. Tune in to Fast Money with Rod Villagomez each week and win some money with the quickest bets in all of sports. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your basketball fix? Points in the Paint has you covered with live shows every other week looking at everything in the association. Backed by popular demand, we have the return of The Payoff Pitch, FFSQC's baseball show, covering you on news around the MLB. If you're missing football, don't fret. Mark and Dan still have you covered in the football lounge. Missing Joe Winkle? Probably not, but he's still here talking sports on Educated Ignorance. Football season might be over, but we've still got you covered. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
For Frequency's Sake is brought to you by Durham Remodeling, serving the Quad City area's remodeling and repair needs since 1973. Clint's Draft House, grab a bite and a pint. 7th Street Moline. Low Pies, New York-style pizza served up by the slice or pie, Davenport. Lifted Energy, energy drinks, coffee, donuts, and more. #GetLifted. Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. Sports cards and memorabilia, vintage clothing, hats, pennants, and more. Ryan Allison Tattoo. Step into the vibrant world of tattoos with Ryan Allison. And A Cut Above, offering quality custom woodwork designed specifically around our customers.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
I got a phone call and I just made everything. I hung it up and it made everything awful.
Oh, no.
We could see you, but we couldn't hear you. Well, we're glad. We're welcome back to the show. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We are joined by Sabotage, also known as Sean Logan. And before those technical difficulties, we were talking about how Sean got hooked into wrestling and what he loved in his training of wrestling. Let's take you back a little while. You said you got into wrestling when you were 7 years old or when you were younger. Is there a VHS, maybe it was too late for VHS or DVD that you always went to, that you always popped in and watched? One show that really caught your eye that you watched on repeat that you went back and watched several times?
Wow, that's a cool question. There was a Undertaker 15-0 DVD.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I watched that because he became my man, and it was in the $5 bin at Walmart. So I got that, and that's where I got really enthralled with the streak, and I was like, dude, and like I guess I just didn't realize it, but every match I'd be kind of glued to still thinking he might lose, even though it says 50-0, but I mean, I was just a kid. That's something of Undertaker. I think that's kind of cool. So when I started training, some people, I remember talking to, I think you guys had Augustus Draven on here before, but I talked to him.
Yep.
And he told me that he's got a mind still when he watches wrestling. He could still watch it as a fan and as a performer. And very hard. I think it's very hard to do that. I think every time I watch wrestling now, I'm trying to learn, study. Now, the only person that I would still, even till the very end, was Undertaker. I'd watch him and I'd still be at the edge of my seat all the way till the 2020, match. And I was like, anytime there was a falsie or anything, I'd watch that and I'd be like, kick out, kick out. So I guess that's just because he's my hero, but yeah, there was Undertaker 15-0 DVD. And then I guess, probably the network really helped me. That came out, when I was
For
12.
sure.
So that was really cool.
So I want to go back to your in-ring career a little bit here. You made your debut with NWA Chicago here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Talk about what that felt like, how that experience was, just in general overall, what that experience was like going into NWA Chicago.
Yeah, that was a cool opportunity. That's I look at like a guy like Joe Alonzo, and I think he's a couple years older than me, but like he kind of like, and I don't he doesn't even know this, I don't even we don't really talk that much, but I'm just like, man, like I remember actually reffing when I was like 12, or when I was like 14. He was 16, wrestling one of his first matches, but um yeah, he's a signed NWA guy now. I think he's their young, or gosh, he's like the young champion. I forgot the name of their title specifically, but maybe junior heavyweight. Maybe that's what they call it. Um, but he's a guy. He was there at the Chicago show, and like he kind of inspires me to like, you know, be like keep going with like how he is. But he's an NWA talent. He was there, and just how he like keeps driving through wrestling, and I I just like his like his I guess it's just mindset to it, just how he approaches it, and just doesn't really care what people think. Um, but there's a guy named Daisy. He reached out. He works for NWA. He wrestles for them, and was like, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you." And Daisy, it seems to be like it's like Billy Corgan's the head honcho, but it seems like a guy named Brian Idol and then Daisy. They're kind of like guys that help orchestrate the whole thing. And they reached out of opportunity, said, "Hey, I got a match for you. We're coming to Chicago." And I was like, "Crap! Like this is legit." Like this NWA nervous, and end up. I was really happy with my performance there. Actually, I was nervous. I was like, "Are they gonna let me be heel face? Like, let me pick?" And they end up, we get a gauntlet match, and gauntlet where two people are in, one out, next guy comes.
Yep.
I was like, man, how is this go? Like, and we got 12 minutes. So I end up getting like that. I'm the only one that was like, all right, I'm a heel. And I don't know if I made the right choice in that, but I won 3 matches. So I beat Chico Suave, Rafael, gosh, I think Quintero is his last name. And then the third member I've never met. I honestly forgot his name, but I beat all 3 of them, and then I got the opportunity to face I guess the NWA talent for my match was Magic Jake. And that was kind of crazy because we had a spot where he shakes my hand, tells me to pick a card. I show the card to the audience, turn around, a bunch of cards fly in my face. He opens my mouth, the card that I held. So he freaking pulls out the card that I showed to the crowd. And then I actually watched. Yeah, I didn't even know if I'd really get an opportunity to wrestle him. I didn't know Gauntlet. Like I could have just been in and out with Chico, and so then I watched film, watched like 6, 7 matches. I was like, all right, this guy's gonna hit me with either a tombstone or like a TKO. And sure enough, he goes, "All right, I'm gonna ear nagi you, and then after that, I'm gonna moonsault you." And I was like, "What? Like, what do you like?" I watched all your matches. There's no way you're moonsaulting. And sure enough, he did. He moonsault me, and that was the only thing that was kind of scary. And he did take care. He took care of me, but there was these lights in the venue that very low, and they're like hanging. They're like almost like rope lights, and he's like, I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry. I got the lightest moonsault in the biz. And I was like, okay, let's go. So right when he hits, his feet catch the rope lights, and
Oh no.
I was like, yep. I mean, this is gonna suck, but it's still, he took care of me, so we were good there. But Billy Corgan was watching it all 12 minutes. I was out there. I was getting heat, and I felt really good with it. It is kind of scary, Obviously, the show did go a lot like longer than what I thought, but like with timing, you want to make sure you do your time cues really well. and just make sure you don't screw anything up, because that's just your opportunity. But yeah, I overall was very happy, and a couple of boys in the back told me that I did a good job. And I had to remember 4 separate matches, so it was cool, and I got an NWA victory, so we'll take it. We'll take it. So
For sure. For
yeah.
sure. We're joined by Sabotage here on the Card Subject to Change podcast. And I want to go back to something you said during that NWA story, Sabotage. When you showed up, you didn't know if you'd be working face or you didn't know if you'd be working heel. Obviously, you've worked both before. Is it harder for you to do one and the other? Is it like flipping a switch? Is it easier for you? Talk about that. I mean, you've worked both. Is it something as a character it's harder for you to transform into, or talk about that mental mindset?
Yeah, it's a wild thing. I remember the first time I was in Indiana. So when I first started wrestling at 16, I wrestled under a mask as El Muchacho, and they were kind of just like, hey, just wrestle under a mask, and if you screw up, no one's gonna know it's you. And I'm like, okay. So I was always a baby face for that. Then they needed a heel, and they're like, let's get a mask gimmick, but a heel. And I bought this Venom mask, and all my friends, I wrestled as Venom like twice. All my friends will make fun of me for it, but regardless, I was a heel. And I was always just super nice, goody two shoe kid, and I still am. And but I remember the first time I yelled, I yelled at a fan, and I was like, holy cow, that energy of yelling at someone, they can't do anything about it. Like, whoa, that's like a wait. And the funny thing was, I wrestled as El Muchacho that show, and in a mask and tights. And then, 3 matches later, I switched to Venom gear. And it's amazing how, like, same physique, right? And it's amazing how someone will like root for you and not care. And then when you yell at them, they'll be like, oh, you're fat. Like, screw you. I'm like, wait, so, like, El Muchacho wasn't getting made fun of. So it is wild. Nowadays, you more experience. I get booked a lot as a heel, and usually old school mentality, younger guys, the baby face, they're your good guys, and then your heels are the vet, and but I get booked. I think I'm a very like I love the just I think I live for trash talking now, because I love just running my mouth, because it's like it's something I never did. And when I get the opportunity to do it, I think I just like, let's go all in, because you're not going to do this, outside of this. So let's do it. So I think I prefer being a heel. Now, I always want the reps for both, because like, you got to get better at both.
Sure.
I think the worst thing promotion could give you is, I always hate being a tweener. They're always like, oh, you know what, you're a tween, especially at a new promotion. And I understand. I go help out, set up a ring. Oh, okay, we're gonna put you in this pre-show. You got a triple threat. This guy's a heel. This guy's face. You're gonna be a tweener, and it's like, yo, like, I want, to make sure, because it's just like you don't know which way to go, which direction. If you're a heel, I know I could take that all the way. If I'm a face, I could take that all the way this direction. But as a tweener, you're just like, you're kind of just there, And I get sometimes there's storylines, like, it's fine. But when you got a pre-show match, new promotion, you don't got a storyline. So uh that's the worst thing to get, is being a tweener. I do enjoy just being a heel, and then I love that. Yeah, being a face is awesome too. It just right now I've been getting booked a lot as a heel, so we're gonna keep rolling with it.
Let's I had a question. I lost my train of thought. So that being said, we do have our weekly segment with one JT Energy. I think we should take this moment to just pause and focus. Nick, what do you think?
Sounds good to me.
We'll be right back. Here is Our moment of focus with JT Energy.
Welcome to a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy. And this week, what should we focus on? Because in studio, you have the man called Sabotage. And sometimes, what's up here can really sabotage you in an instant. So I think you should focus on, we should collectively focus on, when you're attacked up here, find a place to walk away. Collect those thoughts. Take a deep breath and come back to the focus. This has been a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy.
Always good to get some clarity from our good friend JT Energy.
That music made me start to meditate a little bit, kind of snapped me out of my my routine.
I see he's been taking up his meditation classes. Yeah.
He
heard,
definitely has.
Yeah, I heard the other they had that Jerry Lynn seminar the other day at Black and Brave, and I heard that I wasn't there for that, but one of my buddies said that JT Energy asked Jerry Lynn about what do you do outside of wrestling that like helps you with wrestling, and then Jerry Lynn said something about he likes heavy metal music. And then JT Energy said, "Oh, okay, I like meditation." So that was yeah.
Quite the two opposite ends of the spectrum, but whatever helps you out, right?
Yeah.
What do you? Okay, I'll feed into that. What do you do outside of professional wrestling? What do you? What piques your interest outside of professional wrestling? Keeps you sane? What's your escape, Sabotage?
Man, that's I got asked that kind of the other day. Some dude in the locker room comes up, "Hey, Sabotage, like, what do you do outside of wrestling? Like, what's your hobbies?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's think." And maybe I got hobbies, but like, everything I do is towards this, you know.
Sure.
I built this little gym that I'm at here, and like, I power lift. I like that, but that's to get stronger for wrestling. I love bodybuilding, but that's to look better for wrestling. When I did improv classes, that was so I got better at talking for wrestling. I don't go in the tanning bed, because I like it. I try to look better in the ring. I just started taking Babel Spanish classes, and that's not really a hobby of mine, but I'm doing it so I could learn how to do a match with a luchador. It's like everything is like every day I make sure I read because I hate reading, and but I like, let's do something you hate every day so you get better. And like all I have here for my books, these are all wrestling or bodybuilding books. So it's like I'm just like always obsessed with I'm obsessed with the craft. I guess the only thing I can think of is I like longboarding. That's like one normal thing, I guess, that I like doing. But yeah, just everything. I think I enjoy. I heard Arnold say it, and he's like, everyone's always wondering why you're smiling. You're in the work at the gym 4 or 5 hours a day, and like you got another 100 reps of curls you gotta do. Why are you smiling? And he says, I'm smiling because I know every rep is one step closer to my goals. So I think I really enjoy just chasing these goals through outside the wrestling ring. It's wild, but like, I don't know, maybe one day I had a conversation last night of a guy that he was a strongman 10 years, and I got my accomplishment done of winning this competition, and then I was like, let's move on to pro wrestling. And I kind of think about like Arnold, where if Arnold, he got the top of bodybuilding, and then he gets to the top of movies, and then he gets to a top of politics, and it's like, would there be something to move on after wrestling? I'm not sure, but right now I'm gonna go all in with wrestling. There's always people saying like, "Oh, what's like your plan B, Sean? What's like the backup plan if like wrestling doesn't work out?" But I think the second I start thinking about a backup plan is the second I'm not 100% in on plan A. And so it's like right now wrestling's the goal. And I think everything, every breath I take, every moment of each day is like, let's get one step better at being a professional wrestler. So that's kind of being around the bush of longboarding, but yeah,
No.
that's yeah.
So let me go back to something you were talking about. You're not a fan of reading, but you're pushing yourself to read something every day, and you're focused on bodybuilding and wrestling. This is gonna trip Nick's trigger because he's a big reader of wrestling biographies. Is there a particular wrestling book that you've read that is just absolutely your favorite?
Let's see if I got one. I really liked so biography being like a specific wrestler. Like,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? I don't have it up here actually, but it was the triple. It wasn't like it was called Triple H Making the Game, and I think that was one that I really liked a lot. I got like a Roddy Piper one that I still got to read. Don't get me wrong. Remember, I still hate reading, so it's finish a book. But yeah, I got like a Roddy Piper and a Bret Hart one I really want to get into. But I got a couple of motivation ones I got done, and then bodybuilding ones I finished, and maybe
I,
some wrestling reads I finished. But
I know
yeah,
you don't like wrestling, but you will love that Bret Hart book. That is my favorite biography, dude. It is so, so good. You're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it.
guy, is this one? Is that it, or is it a different
Yes,
one?
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It's sweet, man. I'll get there, and I'll let you.
It's good. It is. It's very good. Very well written.
Awesome. There was a cool one. There was a guy named Brian Solomon. He actually
Yep.
was a writer for PWI.
Yep. Yes, he was.
Yeah, this one I really enjoyed that. Like I didn't finish it, but like I'm almost there. But I thought that was cool. But I don't know. Sometimes I think I'll get distracted, but a couple pages a day, whatever. I think it's good to do what you hate. That's why I hate doing ice baths, but I do. I think there's a couple of health benefits, but like it's more just like the mental barrier. I hate waking up at 5 a.m. and going that freaking stairmaster, but when I do it, I just know I accomplished something I hate, and you kind of win the day. So yeah, but reading's one of them. But I'm starting to learn to love it. I got a strong book I'm reading right now. But yeah, no, that's cool. Uh, I did speaking of PWI, you knew Brian Solomon. I did a so there's a little gym I painted a bunch of things here, and I got a lot of wrestling like and motivational type stuff, mural type stuff. I'm not an artist, but my sister was supposed to paint everything for me, and I was like moved to Chicago, like deep in the heart, like by Wrigley, and I was like, oh my god, I bought this paint. I'm either gonna have to start painting or not. But I made get busy living or get busy dying, right? So I'll show you because it's gonna bug me if I don't show you guys. But we can still do the podcast. But I did a PWI. I tried to reach out to Brian Solomon to like get me in it, and do it. But it's that one right there. So I did just a little Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Oh, that is cool. That is
Yeah.
really
That's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, so I got that. This is kind of the place. This is the facility. I got bodybuilding equipment here. We got like some WrestleMania ones up there. If I could do this right. I did my favorite Mania 28 there. And then we got the Rocky mural here. So that's going on there. And then DB gave me this WCW one. Then we got Muscle Bob there. But yeah, so this is the facility I made for, my craft. Because, we're just talking about that. But I kind of thought, hey, let's like, I don't know. Life, you want to fit a lot in each day. And it's like, I think the world kind of opens at like 10 and it ends at like 10, roughly, give or take. And it's like, all right, if I could wake up and get everything accomplished, before the world opens, that's the goal. And I found myself like really, and here I'm sorry, I'm being around the bush and rambling again. But I was like, let's create a place, like pretend you have all this money, Sean, where you can eat your meals, do your cardio, tan, train, work out, sauna, ice bath, study matches, just everything, because I just want to be a slave to the grind, and I want to be obsessed with this. So, and read your books, yeah. So, because that was the original question.
We're joined here by Sabotage on the Card Subject to Change podcast. We just got the tour of the dojo, and I thought it was pretty cool, man. I appreciate you showing us around, and I like that mindset of doing something that you hate, because we all got to do something in life that we don't like. But I think when you do something that you hate, you make like a winning attitude. If you can do something you don't like, the stuff that you do like is going to come pretty easy. So I like that mindset.
That's cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's cool. I don't think I've ever thought about like the stuff you said the stuff you do like here, you don't. Is that what you're saying?
I said the stuff that you do like will come a little bit easier then, in my opinion.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I never. But no, it's and every day we learn and get better at whatever we do. But I'm sure, is there like things you guys are obsessed with, like with this podcast outside of that, like do you guys is there something like you just go to bed thinking about every day and like just are obsessed with? And
wrestling, being a wrestling fan, I'm always thinking about like what the next show is I want to watch. Always thinking about this show, like what we're going to talk about with who. So yeah, this is I think I can speak for CZ here. This is our hobby. We're not going to ever get in the ring and take a bump. We're not ever going to be promoters, I don't think. But with this, we get to talk to wrestlers. We get to bring wrestlers on. We get to hear their stories. We get to promote events. We get to go to events and be fans. We get to sit here and talk to guys. And I think it's our hobby. So I think both of us probably go to bed thinking about how we can be better at this and who we can get on next and stuff like that. Am I right, CZ? Is it okay for me to speak for you in that sense?
Yes, 100%. This is wrestling is an obsession for me. I hate to say it, but it's what I'm most passionate about. And since we started this podcast, I'm even more passionate because we get to bring people on like you, Sean, who are making their way through the independent world, and we get to help you put your name out there a little bit further than you would have otherwise. I love being able to do that.
Yeah, and like you said, you hate that you love wrestling, but like obsession is, I think we put a negative label on obsession, and like I think obsession is just like, it's like being a nerd or something, It's like and you can't teach obsession. And a lot of friends lately, and I'm living this life I'm not any different than any of my friends, but like they just knew I got a dreamer's mindset, right? And it's like they don't know what they want all in their early 20s, and they're just like, I don't even know what hobbies I want to do. And I get help with them. I'm always locked in on this, and like I said, anything I do is towards this, so I'm always having something to do to get better at this. But I go try something, see if it sticks. But obsession, like, you can't teach. something. So like, as long as you guys know what you're obsessed with and like you love it, like that's all you need in this life, you know. I think it's cool, you know. And with it, you know, with this, I think it's awesome. You guys, I think one thing of wrestling too, you get to meet so many people. Like, there's some days after
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
connections we had today, and there'll be some guys that, you know, egos, jerks you'll meet, and that's just part. But or they'll rub you the wrong way. But yeah, you pick and choose. But like, no one tells you have to be with that guy, you know, or have to be pals with them. You know, I think it's really cool, and like, I'm sure you guys think like where you want to take the next step. You know, if you guys want to do like a live podcast, or he even like come Mark live here at the gym, and I was like, okay, like that'd be cool too. But do you guys do like
Oh,
live?
we're actually live right now on Facebook and YouTube, and we go. But as far as like on, I lost your audio again there, Sean.
You're good. Can you hear me?
Oh, there, I can hear you now.
Like,
We are here in the next month or so going to be doing a live show on the road. Most of our stuff has been in studio here, but we haven't announced it yet. But in about a month or so, we're going to be taking our show on the road before a wrestling event, promoting the wrestling event and promoting our show live before the wrestling show goes on. So yeah, we are kind of taking the next step that way.
well, that's
Go
awesome.
ahead and finish that thought, Nick, because I was planning on announcing it at the end of the show. You already pulled the trigger. Let's talk about that for a minute.
What's the date? I forget because it is early on a Sunday morning. Is it June
15th.
June 15th, card subject to change, goes on the road to Waterloo, Iowa. We will be broadcasting live pre-show from the Cedar Valley Sports Complex for Absolute Pro Wrestling. They have a big show that night. So card goes on the road that night, June 15th. Waterloo, Iowa. We'll be taking on the road. We'll be packing up our gear and then come on out and see us at the show. We'll be talking with wrestlers live before the show while everybody's waiting in line, waiting to get in. We get to go right to the front of the line, CZ. That's a first for us. I get to go to the front of the line and get in and get set up. But yeah, we're taking the show on the road and looking forward to talking to the wrestlers and interacting with the fans.
I'm really excited about that. And, you know, I'm excited we were able to get Sabotage in the studio today. So, Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get you off the hook, tell us where people can find you both on socials and in the ring coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And all social media is at Sabotage. So on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Then ring. A funny story. I'll tell you. So I make my tri-state wrestling debut this Saturday, May 18th. And I'm performing. So I have a couple of characters. And I think sometimes in wrestling it's good to have a couple of characters because, like, I don't know, in a sense we are kind of like actors, and like I feel like I'm better when someone gives me a role versus you know, trying to, you know, sometimes sabotage, that's not everyone's favorite. So like, there's a promotion called Second Wrestling. They give me a role, and I'm Sean Logan, very social media. But funny thing about that, we had a show in Chicago and Tri-State Wrestling in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been wanting to wrestle there for maybe a year and a half too, and the guy reached out to me. He's like, "I just saw you perform. Oh, you know, like I can't wait. Like I want to use you for this show." I'm like, "Oh my god, no way! Sabotage is gonna make his debut in Cincinnati." And he's like, "Dude, yeah, I saw the Sean Logan gimmick, and like I can't. I book you." Like, oh my god, like. But you know, it's a character that I guess, you know what, like I was saying, they give me a role and I try to take it as far as I can go. It's kind of like taking a heel or face as far as you could go. Same thing. Like, give me a character, you gotta just take that opportunity to shoot for the stars, because uh every opportunity could be your last opportunity, and let's just do the best we can. I guess character enough. You know, I cut a promo of that show at book for May 18th in Cincinnati. And then so hopefully that goes well. Very next day I'm driving to Iowa for Among Wrestling. That's a promotion. I at we got AAW. I'm always excited. That's fave. I'll respect all the other promotions, but that's like I worked really hard to get on that, and like from start right out Black and Brave, helping out to now, like it's crazy how far I've come. AAW in Chicago, that is June 8th. And then we got a whole, so June's gonna be a big month, Then we got Dreamwave June. You guys said June 15th was you guys' show or the Sunday?
It's the Saturday. The 15th is when we're going to be in Waterloo
for Absolute Pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be at Dreamwave Wrestling doing that. Been helping out for that one, and so that's my next upcoming few dates. So I'm excited for that for sure. Yeah, a couple new experiences, a couple close shows, a couple far. So we'll see where this road takes me. But yeah.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. That is going to wrap up this episode. But before we go, I have to tell everybody, since we were at the 3rd annual Sandra Lee Memorial Car and Bike Show last week, I am very proud to spread this news. They announced it on Friday and presented the check. They raised $2,000 for the Autism Society of the Quad Cities. Very fantastic. Great job to the Sandra Lee Memorial Car and Bike Show. Ricky Lee, I know you're out there listening here. So kudos to you, and we can't wait to see what next year brings to the table. One other announcement to make coming up next week. Nick, I'm excited about this one as well. We got the King of the Valley. Sean mentioned Dreamwave. We've got the Dreamwave champion coming on next Sunday. Christian Rose will be in the studio talking all things wrestling. And he said to me at one point, the trouble is going to get him to stop talking about wrestling.
Well, he's going to be in the right place. He'll be in the right place for it, right, CZ?
Absolutely. So that is going to wrap up this episode of Card Subject to Change. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook Country Financial. For my tag team partner, Never Wrong Nick Bull, I am the Wizard CZ. You've been listening to Card Subject to Change, and we will see you Wednesday with Merrick Brave to talk about Fight for Austin, the fundraising, the charity event to help Garat, a SCW pro wrestler who is battling cancer right now. So stay tuned on Wednesday. Tune in on Wednesday. We'll be talking with Merrick Brave about that upcoming event. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your week, and thanks for tuning in.